I am that I am, all light indeed, in the violet flame we dance. And if we have an opportunity to give a bow, we shall have that chance. I honor thee, I honor thee. How blessed are we to be in this place all at once. It is like closer to how we always see you in our cosmic view, sort of little bits of yourselves, sort of in the conglomerate of oneness. This is a little crude aspect of it from your technology, but it is reminds us that you have an accomplishment of being anywhere and everywhere. And if you would recall anywhere and everywhere in every breath in this human physical form, you might be more stuck than awakened and alive, because it is a lot of process. So we are preciously waiting for you to look forward to those grand moments when you are expanded beyond the limit of who you think you are, and how you are embracing then the entirety of who you are, and that none of you in this space are separate. You each have your unique expression and your beautiful faces and in your whole countenance. You are not separate. You are part of a whole of who you are and of one another and of this grand universe that we are sharing. Thank you, beloved friends. Will you then tell me? I will hear your thoughts. When I proposed the question of who is driving the bus, did that awaken you to humor, to a sense of, oh my God, who's in charge? I'm not. What? Who is doing what? What kind of thoughts did you have? A little play with it. Did you allow yourself to say, all right, I'm going to wait and hear what Master G has to say about this? Or maybe you have said, well, I know there are many times when I'm not the one driving the bus, and there are many times when I think I ought to be driving the bus, and you have all those kind of experiences in your human life. So we wanted to bring about some of that symbolism of what that represents, because sometimes in the spiritual path that some follow, there is an idea of, how would we say this? Jesus, take the wheel. Ever heard that? Ever said that? Ever thought that was the ideal? Now let's rethink some of that. Not that the Master Yeshua, Jesus, or however you call him, would have an objection to assisting and grabbing that wheel when you ask. It is more that all of us in the mastery of the love of the divine want for you to feel part of that journey and masterful enough to have that balance of coexisting with hands fully present to that wheel of your life. Well, we could close right here. Someone says it all. But we have a few other ideas that we will share. So consider this then, please. If you shall have a bus, is that your body? Is that your whole of life? Is that your Merkaba? What is this bus we speak of? Maybe any and all of those aspects would contribute to this story that we're telling. It is really a value for you to see and to understand, to hear and to know, to sense in every way that your life is your life. Surrendering it to the higher nature of your being, your higher power, to God, to a master, to infinite peace and love. However that surrender occurs, that's encouraged always. Because when you have that surrender, you feel the freedom to not do nothing or not say anything. It is a matter of the freedom to trust that anything you need is with you. Anything you want is available. Anything you are inspired to share, to speak, or to write, or to become expressive in, all of that becomes easier because you have that freedom, and that freedom to just be all of those things Where that gets a little messy in your human life at times is that you have maybe living in that surrender and freedom, the little ego mind will take over some of that truth and start to convince you that that's what's really doing it. All of your power and your individual mind and your creativity is more than the greater infinite. It begins to trick you into believing that you have the power and the right to say, how would we say it in a polite manner? Screw you to whoever and whatever in life you don't like or you don't agree with. I have the power to have my own thoughts and my own feelings and my own deliberateness. Of course you do. But when you look at the greater culture that you are living in now on the planet, not just your country, although that's a pretty big reflection of things for you, important and immediate. There is a lot of things in your world which seem to be gaining speed out of control. The bus is on its own trajectory and no one is holding the wheel and the brakes are off. Right? You felt like you could observe that in your culture. Yes, and in your own life and moments. So the good news is, should we say always good news, that your God presence knows that that is an experience and it is also illusion. Not illusion that is wrong or that you have no way to integrate, receive it, to empower yourself and all of that bigger map of consciousness. Of course you do. But it's important that you recognize, number one, when things feel out of control, accept I have the power within me to collectively, with all of my union, with my wholeness being, with my God presence, with the infinite love of all that is, I have this power to manage peace, to manage expressing love in all of my being. You don't know how, you don't know always when or what that will look like, but that great surrender is about recognizing you from your ego mind, the personality has less power than you would like, because you only can control the very, very smallest piece of any moment in your life experience. You can't control it. You can manage, you can navigate with and around and forward. You can move your life without controlling it. But overall, it's important that you do have this balance of knowing how to manage when the bus is going off the road, getting it back into the center point. Or if it's flying off the cliff, to find, hallelujah, here we go. Not recommending you try that in a conscious, deliberate way. It's important that you find that place for yourself of where you draw the power to choose from, your so-called free will. Where do you draw the power to steer and navigate and manage a bus? And why do we choose the idea of a bus instead of a simple little vehicle? What if we put you on a tricycle? Would that feel safer? It's about, you choose a bus because it usually has many passengers and room for many passengers in it. And if your bus is an open vehicle, you have the gifts that can know when to put the stop, open the door, let a passenger on, let a passenger out. Who are those passengers? Maybe they're aspects of your life that are serving you in the moment. Maybe they're other people in your life that are important and that you have made agreements with to become part of the journey together. What's been your personal experience on a bus? For some, it would be perhaps a school bus. There's a lot of drama and trauma for some around healing what those childhood experiences might have been. as a passenger on this bus. For some, the bus is a city bus going from place to place in a trajectory of finding a way around a large surface of Earth. Maybe it is a tour bus where you're visiting this place and you get to be driven to and escorted and told all the things to look out the windows to see, or all the things you can get off the bus and play with and get back on the bus and continue. So what kind of bus have you been experienced in your life? Have you driven a bus, a physical big bus, a small minibus, a minivan? Where has been your experience to feel like you are holding the lives of others in your hands at that wheel? Sometimes that's true, and sometimes that's an ego trip of mishandled possibilities. A parent feels that when they have their child in the car with them driving or anywhere that they're together, their job is to protect that child, keep that child safe, to be sure that they've set everything in place to make that the most easy and pleasurable experience for that child. Sometimes the parent is overplaying their role. You all know, you've been a parent, you know when those moments have been, where you stop managing and offering this grander opportunity and start controlling and limiting it. So be it. So you've been a passenger in other people's buses at times. Sometimes that you have felt like a hostage to, and other times you felt like a great opportunity and passenger. Oh, for now, at least I'm not having to navigate driving through Cairo on these streets where there's chaos. Somehow the bus driver knows how to do that. So who's driving your bus right now? Who is it that you want to experience sharing this journey with? You get to choose. We only ask that when you let people off the bus, you do so with grace and with dignity and honoring of whoever it is and whatever aspect you are letting off the bus. So that it's not like, again, I'm in charge, get out. No, you don't have to be mean, even to a very mean aspect of life as it expresses in another person. You get to be polite and loving and kind and still clear and determined about who's driving that bus. Who do you choose to let out? Oh, somebody snuck in the back door when you were stopped. Oh, now what? So you can see the many facets of what we're talking about with this is to bring your mind at the point of letting go of the deciding what exactly it all means and stay open in what the greater gift is with this message. Oh, beloveds. So the I am knows that to be the driver of your own bus is never a singular task. It's never your job. It's your opportunity. And you can invite others to have access to that wheel. You've heard a story, might be more than one time you've heard stories like this, of a school bus driver or some city bus driver who has a heart attack or some health issue, buckles over with a bus load of individuals, and someone runs up, grabs the wheel, puts the brake on, and gets everybody to a safe zone. Thank goodness someone knew enough to manage that moment. There have been moments when physically seeing things like that would have happened and no one had the courage or the wisdom or the need in their soul to make that choice and to keep everyone safe. So be it. That's for another time, another story, perhaps. You know, that big question about mass exits from the earth plane, and what the purpose is, and what's God's plan with all that. More on that another time. For now, we keep coming back to, feel yourself sitting in the seat with the wheel in your hands. This is your life. Your bus is your life. Any size, any color, it doesn't matter. Your hands are on the wheel. Are they? What did your driving instructor tell you? 10 and 2? Are you, or have you been a physical driver which has gotten comfortable to one hand, or sometimes your knees? It feels exhilarating or it feels empowering until oops, oops, because you have to grab the radio, or oops, you have to grab the phone, or oops, you have to do something else, and you're multitasking in your life experience of driving your bus. So it's important to recognize also that in the bus of you and your life, yes, there's multitasking required, or the appearance of multitasking. You get to choose and be participating in more than one dimension, more than one activity at different levels of your being. But ultimately, you have to be committed with all of that, to be concerned with, not worried for, but concerned with and honoring the entirety of your being, and what's who you are at the core and who you are as the driver of the bus. A secret audience. One pin. Your bus is invisible to the rest of the world, but you can change that. Did you hear that? But yeah, your bus is invisible to the rest of the world, and you cannot change that. The rest of the world will see you as they think you are. As they think who you are. They think what you represent to them and to others. Always, everyone in your world is going to see you and the so-called persona that they witness as a reflection. And they're seldom, if ever, going to see all of you and the grand bus that your being is. You're not going to do that. So you can invite them in to get to know other aspects, and you can share vulnerably more of who you are. And when one has a relationship with anyone in life where you have more being seen or known or recognized with that person than you have with others, it feels deep and enriching and a joyful experience. And it is romantic, and it is grand indeed. And still, in any one moment, those close soulmates and individuals that you get to share with, only rarely will they see glimpses of all of you. That's not a problem. That's just the reality of life. When individuation is expressing, we gravitate to those expressions which resonate and bring out those qualities in ourselves that we are wanting to express, or those which we would hope to heal and find new ways of expressing. Just sometimes you'll have a passenger on the bus that thinks they should be the driver. You know, the kind that sit next to you in your car or behind you and turn here, you're not braking fast enough, you're going too fast. Oh, they're trying to help you drive your vehicle, right? Everyone has had that, and maybe you've done it. And that's the metaphor for how it can be in your life with this bus load of fellow journeyers, right? Why are they on your bus and not on their bus? Well, they are. The part that's with you, another aspect of your being, or another human that you've made a contract with to share, all of these beings are with you and with other parts of themselves and the bus that they're learning to drive, or that they are learning to steer, or they're learning to become commando. You know, we're kind of multidimensional this way. Haven't we been saying that for all these years with you? So who's driving? So which part of you are you letting drive this bus? Is it your wholeness, your God presence? Is it your divine realization of the possibilities of something grand? Or is it the fearful child who's going for a joy ride? Who's driving the bus? Is it your parents? May they be with you always in their true spirit. But is it your parents and the echo of your parents driving your bus? Is it that school teacher who scolded you when you were very young and you still haven't quite let that go? Who's driving the bus? Is it your mate, your best friend? Is it Yeshua? Did you think you gave the wheel over to Yeshua? But now it's not Yeshua driving the bus, but it's your image of Yeshua that is your savior. And you don't have to be responsible for anything because he's done it all. Well, I have good news about that and not so good news, as you might guess. The good news is the Master Yeshua, the Master Jesus, the Master of love that incarnated to share some great truths about unity with the divine, Father, Mother, God. That essence is always available to hold the wheel with you, to assist you, to move and then help you move and maneuver through all in your life. That's his promise. And sometimes when you have made that being small enough to fit into your life, or made yourself small to think that now this grand being has room, that distortion could mean that you're not as managed as you might think. So don't misunderstand what I'm saying. The prayerfulness and the desire to surrender, to let go and let yourself be led by the highest of the divine love, that's critical, important. I say critical because it is the only way your wholeness will thrive and expand. But it is so valuable that you recognize your equality with that which you surrender to. You're at oneness with that which you surrender to. I can reflect to you the greatest transmutation power in the principles of love. That is mine, as Saint Germain, as you call me, to do. And I am one with all the other masters and teachers. I'm one with all of you. But your oneness is only asking for you to keep doing that surrender. So we've had discourses and with other master teachers about the idea to distinguish between surrendering and letting go. And surrendering in the ego mind usually means giving up, letting something or someone else control. It is the surrendering, it is a complete disintegration of your self of power. It can be daunting to surrender. But the great surrender, I am that I am one with all. That great surrender is the only place we invite you to use that word and to become healed of the ego and notion of surrender. That surrender is the complete letting go of your ego, your human personality, need to tell the rest of the universe how it should be done. Another great question to consider. I pose this to you. If you can't control the rest of the universe, and it's not your job to do that, it's also not your job It's not your requirement. It's not your lesson. Well, everything's a lesson. It is not your need to be told what to do, to be told, to be guided in such a way that you are not free to feel that inspiration, that movement, and that possibility alive within. So where the great surrender, the great letting go is open for all that divine flow to be at one with you. You lose, if you can say, you need to let go of with that questioning that authority you just keep surrendering to. So the question that you might say under difficult circumstances is, why does God allow this to happen? Why is God letting this go happen? Why did God take this person off the planet before I was ready to say goodbye? Why do these things happen? God's in charge. And then you're feeling with that kind of questioning, you feel that you can't keep surrendering because it doesn't match up. So those questions are misguiding you. Those questions are not going to be answered in any way that satisfies the part of ego personality that wants to question that, or wants to get, somehow if I know what God knows about this, I'll be okay. The closest people usually come when this surrender is occurring in them, when they have a concern is, well, how can the universe, how can God of love allow bad things and awful things to be occurring? Why won't God just smite these evildoers? Well, very old school, isn't it? You said old school. Who was that? Was that God? Do we know that? Maybe not. What the closest you might get in that questioning of and having that surrender was to say, I don't need to know, because God knows. I don't need to know and understand this. For when my need is great, I have everything given. And if that means the wisdom comes, it's when I'm ready and open in its mind to receive. If I have knowledge, it's when I'm ready and open to receive. So does that mean that God lets things happen? Maybe. That's one way to say it. What is God? I'm just using that as a convenient term that people can relate with mostly. You can call it something else. God, Goddess, all that is, universe, Yahweh, Jehovah, Ishtar. It can be all these things. What's the question? Who's driving the bus? Have you surrendered your wholeness of being to an illusion of divinity? Or have you surrendered your human limitations, which open you for transmutation into a greater recognition of, greater experience of, greater knowing of the one, the one, the one. So it's not a simple answer, or not an easy one for sure. Right? So who's driving the bus? Think about it. It's an analogy. It's not a reality. It's an analogy. It's an imagery and implications of possibilities is all. Your life is more than that. So here's what's good. I find something really grand out of all of this, many good things. And here's one thing. Somewhere near the beginning of this conversation, I brought to you the idea of is your bus your Merkaba, your light body, your expanded vehicle of light that is how who you are communicates and travels, if you will, from one aspect of life in your dimension into other dimensions and into other realities and other universes. Remarkable. And here's what's good about that. No one else can drive that. And it doesn't even get driven until you are ready to acknowledge that you're comfortable at the helm of that light ship. You can't misuse it. You can't missteer it. You can't do anything wrong, but it's only then activated when you have aligned yourself to that place in consciousness that you know who you are, beyond the form, beyond the personality, beyond the imagery that you project, beyond everyone else's ideas of who they think you are. To be or not to be, it was written, is a question. I have answers to that I might not have understood when that was written. How you choose to be is your freedom always. Who you choose to be is always going to be expressed by how you choose to be. You choose that you are an expanding being of love and light. Do you choose to be that you are eternally communing with all that is in creation? With all of that will eliminate the need for extreme measures in your management and how that vehicle is built. So sometimes you will know yourself then and how you have been choosing by looking at who's on this bus with. What are the aspects of your being on that bus? What are the aspects of other souls and other partners in life, other demons in your life? How are these things expressing in your world on this bus? That is a clue. And when you think you know how you're being, and the reflection of others around you are saying that's not who you are. That's not how we see you. That's not how we think you are. Or who do you think you are? All that kind of feedback is a wonderful message to love all those reflections, to heal, to forgive, and to choose that beingness again. So that how you're being and who you're being are in alignment. Could you ever be misunderstood completely? Yes. Can you be ever misjudged? Of course. So does that mean you're doing it wrong? It, meaning your life. It means that you have an opportunity to find something more to love in that person who's witnessing that, in yourself who might be hiding that or haven't fully loved it yet. That's all that means. It's not wrongness ever. So if you steer your bus over the cliff, maybe you find that great blessing that you land in soft water and you're carried off down the stream and the bus drifts into dry land and everyone gets off the bus in good shape. This happens. Will you drive your bus empty? Nothing? No one, just you? Will you convert your bus to a hippie's vehicle, right? You know, or you live in it and you kind of refurbish everything and it becomes your tiny home on wheels, right? That's all possible. It's all possible. Have you done something like that before in your life? Lived simply with what is, where it is? Maybe your bus is one of those wonderful two-decker buses. Then you have to be thinking, what's all that activity going on up there when I'm down here steering? Just playing, that's all. All right, I'm going to open this up for some questions. So far, what have we stimulated in these pieces of love that have come your way? Everyone, Daryl, unmute.
Okay. So you all should be able to unmute yourselves. There we go.
Who dares to enter the kingdom of love that I have presented? No questions. Totally integrated, all these ideas. Are you celebrating that the God I am, the God thou art, makes no demands that you steer your bus one way or another? In fact, you can abandon the bus and just sort of float. We're all right with that too. Where are you? Where are you now? Are you on the Route 66? Are you on the highway to heaven? All right. So as I've given this idea to you, these ideas, many metaphors, many shades of possibilities, have you considered that when I've been asking a question, who's on that bus with you, you've had an inkling of who else is on that bus with you? You had an inkling? Yeah, good. Are they welcome passengers? Are they rowdy teenagers on the back of the bus? You remember those times when you thought that was power to be up front, and then there was more power way in the back where you think you could get away with it. So you can't, as the driver, be all the way in the back at the same time unless you have done a great deal of reconfiguring of where that wheel goes, right? So it's fun though. Who's on that? What part of you is in the back of the bus? What part of you is making sure that there's an empty seat around you everywhere, that you don't have to be crowded by other people on that bus? What part of you is sitting right behind the driver, hoping that driver is keeping them safe? What part of you is sitting just across a little bit from the driver so that you can keep an eye on things, a bigger picture? Where are you on this bus other than driving it? Who is driving that bus? Have you been watching the driver? Have you been loving the driver? Have you been fearing the driver? Are you the driver? So many questions. Is your spouse on that bus with you? Is your best friend on that bus with you? Are your children on the bus with you? How about your sweet little furry friends? Are they on the bus with you? You've witnessed cartoons and what you call them memes with cats and dogs driving the vehicles. That could be interesting if you tried to let that happen in your true life, right? Who's on that bus? Thoughts. Speak out so that you can not be ashamed of your thoughts, but let's clear it all and become happy with all of it.
Reminders. I keep getting the image of people who come on reminding people, positive and negative, and say, oh, this person resembles somebody, or maybe it's I've been going through that. I feel like, oh, maybe this person, they're meant to be an avatar of an experience or a person I experienced from my past, uh, or an echo of that, either to be healed or remind me, oh, you had a good moment, or this was a painful moment you've yet to forgive or heal. It's reminded
Indeed.
that sometimes people come as different reality versions of themselves.
Ah, very clever, very good indeed. We like that. The avatars of themselves. You know, you have everyone who chooses now can create these little avatars on their computer for themselves, and sometimes they look a lot like you, and sometimes they look nothing like you, and you wonder how did this computer image come about that. But that's a possibility, isn't it? That all that ever shows up in your life is a reflection of an echo of who you might have been and who you might be and who and where you want to keep traveling and integrating with. It's all, to me, about the integration, the transmutation, to transmute what is no longer needed into the fuel of the wholeness of your being. Transmutation isn't about getting rid of what's wrong or bad. It's moving that into the power of what's potential is in all life. So if you have a fear of something, we don't just get rid of the fear, we transmute that fear into the power of freedom. If you have an anger or an issue of distortion, we don't get rid of that. We find the energy of its true nature of love, frequency, and move that into that violet fire, into an energy which is inspirational to you and to the world. Some of you may know, more than one person has known that I've encouraged journaling or writing a book or having a good expression of your life story. And part of the reason for this is that the process of this is most healing, is most revealing. It's not so that you can become world famous. It might happen in that way. Fame is where lots of people know who they think you are. Right? Ask any so-called famous person, do you think that all your fans and people who are following you really know who you are? Probably not much, right? So it's fun though. So your avatars, your reflections of another lifetime, another dimensional experience. That's on the bus, always. So where are you going to drive the bus that makes it easier for that person to jump off, get into their life frequency time frame, or choose to move into light body form and integrate with the whole vehicle. Your driving doesn't dictate how others will choose, but that you give them that opportunity. If you've invited them on the bus, you can uninvite them off in gentle, loving ways. And you know what? If that hasn't been a fully integrated and loving act, they're going to keep getting back on, or some version of that, right? Always shows up. You cannot pretend I'm powerful and I just, you are all gone. Well, anybody you have gone from, say, an intimate relationship from one to another or another, and finding that somehow that same person keeps showing up. This is a duh moment, right? Until you're ready to say, oh, that's because I'm not shifting myself. That's okay, because everyone has a right to be however they think they're being. And do I set the so-called boundaries of you who can be on my bus? Yes, you can do that. We like talking about boundaries, but we're going to do that in another dimension and another time, because again, that's a huge topic. You might guess, I'll just give you the preview of that, is boundaries are not what you think they are. Of course. What is? All right, I'm going to put somebody on the spot. You know what that means? What does that mean? You're going to go on mute, or you're going to go off camera for that people can't know who I'm talking to? Doesn't matter. Rich. Hello, my friend. Will you agree that you have more command of your bus today than you did 10 years ago? We can't hear you. Somehow you're not connecting. That's all right. I hear you. Now you've got.
Rich, you just muted yourself, Rich. You need to unmute.
There we go. So this technology is wonderful, isn't it?
It should be in the lower left, Rich.
So
It
shake
looks
your
like a
head if you agree.
microphone.
Just shake your head to me. Do you agree with what I just said? Thank you. We'll talk later. Well, I hear you. Kelly, I have a question for Kelly. Ah,
Hi.
hello, my beloved friend.
Hello.
Would you agree or not agree fully that everyone who has ever walked in and out of your life has had a place on your bus?
Yes.
Does everybody belong there now today? Great question, huh?
It is.
You can't answer wrong.
Yeah.
They have the place as you are welcoming them. They don't have a place to be there because they are fragments of a life that isn't fully loved and integrated. They have a right to be there because you are consciously choosing to love and integrate. So they may be there because there's a part of your being that has sort of not managed that or helped or found the love within yourself for all of those pieces. Or they could be there because you say, wow, you're a great challenge to me and I love the challenge, so we're going to heal together. Sure. Yeah, that's the
I haven't heard
conversation.
myself say that.
Well, we like to inspire, right?
Yeah.
So it's good. So it's good to look around and see who in the world is here and how did they get here? There's a fun song expressed, like song-ish thing, we call it, expressed in a couple of decades ago is, you may ask yourself, how did I get here? And that's exactly what we're saying. You may ask yourself, I'm driving this bus? You may ask yourself, who invited that onto my bus? Or, I invited you on the bus, but you stepped in doo-doo before you got on the bus. Now what? We all have to smell that? So it's fun. This is a fun exercise. You're invited to acknowledge the souls and the acquaintances from wherever and however you connected with them to share the journey with you and to invite them that they're staying on the bus as long as they're cooperating, and otherwise they get off at the next bus stop. And you can cause that bus to stop anywhere. And you can ask them nicely, and you can have Archangel Michael come and help them off if you need them. Because that's a temporary solution. That Michael will set up that kind of protection when some aspect of being is fighting the need for them to transition off your bus or into some other part of life. And then through that temporary restraint that is put upon them, you have also this temporary freedom to choose how you want to realign your being so that that part is loved more. And that doesn't mean, okay, now I love you, come back on the bus. You don't have to invite, what do we say? Who is it? The Manson family onto your bus. You get to invite who you want. And so that means you use the tools you are given to manage the passengers on the bus. And when you yourself don't know how that management is, this is another act of faith that you can move through all the tools you know to ask politely, to invite firmly, and to ask Archangel Michael and the others in the realm of light to hold this passenger in place in their safety and your safety, so we get their freedom realigned and your freedom realigned.
I do have one question on projection.
Mhm.
On projection. So how to tell, or if I'm always projecting when somebody's, let's say that you see somebody that you might not want on your bus, how do you know it's not your own projection? That's something that needs to be healed, or is everything your projection and really needs to be healed or transmuted?
Very good question. And the very simple answer is yes, everything is projection, in that you will always recognize something depending on your inner emotional alignment with that energy. There is your cue with the depth of the perception being projected, anger, fear, something like that. So in other words, let me simplify that a bit. What you see in others, you always have in you, always. If what you're seeing is love, light, and happy, happy, go, that's you, embrace it. If what you're seeing is someone who needs a little more refinement to those qualities, and you're okay with that, so be it. Then you just acknowledge that that's nothing that I'm in depth of inner need to heal right now. I just recognize that for what it is. When you have that reaction to it that says, oh, this is weird, it's dangerous, it's not healthy, it's not who I am, and I don't want to invite that which I'm not into my bus, you get to say, yes, you can choose that, and know that when you're ready for that part of your inner being to be loved more, and that will be happening for you, whether it's that individual or the next, you see. So the projection idea is not that you are not being authentic. It's learning your own authenticity to the degrees that you can accept all parts of yourself and know the right placement of that within your context of wholeness of being. We, as are perceived to be living in an ascended divine realm, view the chaos of the world with love, and we're not in it. We view individuals who act out in evil ways, evil meaning so absorbed into a cycle of denial of truth and love that that's all that gets expressed. We see that and we have no fear of that. We simply see it and we acknowledge that that's existing because we know we have lived that lifetime and we are complete. So what is then the fine line, you might say, between seeing all that as part of the aspect of the greater whole and being okay with it and knowing what's yours to say or to act upon in your world to shift that and make a difference? We've been asked this frequently in most recent years, especially. So some people will say, you don't have to do anything in your spiritual, just imagine you're projecting love and light and all that, so be it. That may be for some their true calling of inner timing, but that's what they do when the world conflicts and presents what is not whole and healthy for them. It also is that when the soul is denying they have a need to speak about an evil action or doing in their world, and they deny that, they're not helping themselves expand and grow. And they may be losing or missing a great opportunity to awaken somebody. Now, it's not your job to wake up every soul on the planet. That's a lot of what's going on right now is in the polarity of things, is someone is trying to wake the other parts up. That's not your job. But your job is to keep waking yourself up and listening wholly and completely to what it is you need to be doing, to be speaking, to be thinking, to be expressing in your life. That's your only real job. So when you feel the calling to speak out, you speak out with love. When you feel the calling to step back, it's not my, as some would say, it's not my hill to die on, so be it. But it's always going to be what reflects in the world is that reflection more than projection. The projection happens when you deny the reflection for what it is. Does that make sense? Projection is what I see, that who I am and what I believe is bigger, is more valuable than anyone else's freedom. So that projects. So projection is real, but it's truly when you are in a state of acknowledging reflection of all of it, that the projection diminishes and which you cannot control other people's projection. You can only speak who you are and be who you are. So, but you minimize your expectations of another or your belief about who and what another is as you accept reflection. Does that seem to make that a little clearer, Kelly?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, indeed. We love how to making things clear. We add new mud to the water. It's fun. Because that's an opportunity for transmutation. And mud serves. If you ever had what's called a mud bath, they're very detoxifying and healthy for you. So, always another projection of possibility now. That's what I'm saying. Any other ideas or questions come up about who's on that bus with you? Or who has been steering it?
I think Rich is off mute now. So Rich, you can go ahead if you
Oh,
had some.
you had mentioned earlier about the illusion of divinity.
Ah,
So
wow, what? The
that's what I heard.
origin.
Yeah.
Ah. Let's go right to it then. The origin of divinity.
The illusion. You said the illusion of
Oh,
divinity.
the illusion of divinity. Exactly.
Yeah.
Because that's an illusion that there could be an origin. But see, I speak that because people's understanding of divinity throughout the eons and eons of life expression here and in many other parts of this universe is that any being that has presented with gifts, talents, understanding, or more technology, or more capacity than what seems evident to someone viewing that individual, that's an origin of birthing a deity. You see, I mean, that's deity. The illusion of deity is the part of the human beliefs that the job or the role of a so-called deific individual or school of deific individuals or mountain, however these have happened, that comes from the need to feel the need to feel something, somewhere, someone has more than me, therefore they are greater than me, therefore they can manage me and take care of me. So I'm not saying that all belief in divinity is soured or somehow in off energy by saying it's illusion, but the illusion of it is that it's separate. The illusion of it that somehow a deity graced you with a presence and then starts demanding of you to behave in certain ways, to act in certain ways, to think or speak in certain ways. And the demand includes consequences of your annihilation if you don't agree, you don't participate in. That's sort of, those are the stories that get built around human understanding of deities, whether they're the Anunnaki beings that showed up thousands of years ago, or whether they are a serpent in the garden who is an anti-deity, or how all these things have occurred because humans were efforting to make sense of things they didn't know of understanding or way of experiencing. And there have been some deity energies are proclaimed to have been deific energies that have set to control mankind, humankind, set to demand, and sometimes for the good of everyone else, or sometimes for the good of that which is the so-called deity that is showing up. We're not here to completely blow up everyone's faith, because that's not what this is about. We speak of illusion because it's important that we realize the oneness with the true deific origin of light. Light has always existed. Even in an illusion of darkness, it expressed in new ways. That's God. Almost everyone here, at least, will agree that 7 physical days did not happen where some one individual being created life, significant life forms, and universal energy forms within 24 hours. That's, most people will realize that's a nice story, and there's energetic, the evolution of it all, the creation and expansion of it all exists.
Master, you muted yourself somehow.
I am.
There you go. Now you're up. Perfect.
But maybe they didn't need to hear all that thing, huh?
That was the key moment of the whole presentation.
So, your God is not always the same God as your next door Zoom neighbor here. Okay. Is your God an illusion? Possibly, but I'm not saying there's something wrong with illusion. We just would say, let's recognize that all things present to themselves to us in ways which are only at best aspects or pieces of the whole, and therefore the stories we develop around those aspects are illusions. What we've been speaking about, other people seeing you for who they think you are, is their illusion of you. And then when you start to believe them, then you believe you're failing at being that, or there's something wrong for those illusions. Or this person thinks I'm far more than I am, or this person thinks I'm only this little part. It doesn't matter what all that is, because the aspects are all becoming integrated and one. You are an illusion of yourself by being physically here right now in this moment having conversations. So what? And you know you're more. And you know that simultaneously you are existing in other times and space and other ways for other forms, formless. Have you considered being that orange blob that sort of floats around like a orb? Yeah, you're a blob. Oh. So which aspect of you, which aspect of the divine that you are communing with are you surrendering to? And that's okay. We invite you to fully know the surrender, which frees you not from being responsible, but from being weighed down and limited by these false identities and false responsibilities. That's the freedom. It's not you become powerless, but you become open to having more power because you become one with the true one power. The more recent teacher in the human timeline that you identify in right now, that has taught specifically about being one with Father, Mother, God, sometimes that is the least heard message. Well, only that was the one individual that said that. He was one with Father, Mother, God. Oh. All right. I won't say you're wrong if you believe that. I'll say continue to expand who you are, and you will know all that you need to know. do you want to put little fairy lights on the outside of the bus or on the inside windows? Do you want to put a curtain between you, the driver, and the rest of us? No one can come past this curtain. Those are fun games. And you've done some of that. To pretend, there's this separation between you and all the rest of life that you carry with. Okay, here's a fun question, and it has no meaning. But just for fun, what color is your bus? Raise your hand if your bus is red. Raise your hand if your bus is yellow. Raise your hand if your bus is white. Raise your hand if your bus is violet. Raise your hand if your bus is puce. What is puce? Green. Lilac. Brown. Now, see, nobody here, you can't deliver packages. You don't have the brown bus. Any color I missed? Yes. What color, Kelly?
Blue.
Rainbow.
Rainbow. I love it. Well, any other color?
Blue.
Blue. Absolutely. And what if you have that magic button on your bus that does like those LED things? You can keep changing the color. Yeah, you already do, right? I mean, you're already doing that. It's like,
Yeah.
Today I feel blue, healing blue, beautiful blue. Today I feel blue like I'm sad. Today I feel red hot. So you see, that's just for fun, because that's in a game. That's a game of whose bus are you in? Did you get on the wrong bus? No, you may be on multiple buses. That's not what we were just saying about all these multiple layers, right? So you are on your bus in multiple ways, possibly other parts of yourself. And maybe you are on someone else's bus, how they need you to be on their bus. And maybe you are on 1,000 buses. Too scattered? Don't have to be. It's already happening, whether you like it or know it, and have to consciously understand it all. All right. Where do you want to go with this conversation as we have our last 15 minutes or so to complete this dialogue? Dialogue, because I want to hear what you're thinking.
A thought I had related to what Kelly was asking was, is that related to in other channeling sessions I've had in the past, I've often heard when things are bugging us or bothering us, I heard the lesson is it has less to do with them and more to do with you. And I think, when I was younger, I misunderstood that as meaning, well, what they're doing is not that so bad, or it has nothing to do with them. What they're doing is maybe like okay or not so bad. It's more to do with you, learning to be okay with it. But I think I may have misunderstood that. It's just meaning it's just a projection. It's like, well, part of you does that bothers you, or is that what it more means? Or
more of it. I mean, and yes, other people, you give people permission to learn life their way, right? So if what they're doing isn't their best, you saying so might be the perfect thing for you to say, wow, I'm wondering if you are aware that what you say and do here is really affecting me and other people. And then you can say, let it go and let them learn from that or not learn from that, right? So that's true. It is Well, we have been having a good time in the last few years of saying things like, do you love Saddam Hussein? Do you love Donald Trump? Do you love Joe Biden? Do you love all the politicians? Do you love life? Do you love the murderers? Do you love all of it? No, that's enough. I don't love all those people. Of course. No, you don't have to. You get to. And you get to redefine love then, because love doesn't mean that you agree with their choice. Love doesn't mean that you approve of their actions that are maybe misaligned for a lot of reasons. But love means you give permission to and acknowledge the soul's right to learn how they need to learn. And again, when it's yours to speak, you will speak. When it's yours to act, you will act. Hopefully, that's what you will follow. Hopefully, you will follow those inner things, because yes, it's true that for spiritually conscious, aware individuals, a lot of their spiritual work is about visualizing love moving out from them into reaching whoever needs it in the world, and those kinds of visualizations, meditations, affirmations, decrees are very important and appropriate. And not everyone is here to be an activist, to be out marching and doing, although some will be called for that, right? In different cycles of their life. Some here might have been more active in the 1960s than they are now, and so be it. They've grown, they've shifted, and life is, and sometimes people choose not to continue to be active in those same ways because what they've learned is it's all cycles. It's all cycles, and we'll play it where it comes, you know, like the roulette wheel, that game. Here, it's landed on me now. It's my turn. Now what? What do you want? Yes, my friend. What do you want, Eileen?
Are different versions of ourselves driving different buses simultaneously?
What do you want? What do you want to be true?
What I would love is that I have the highest self version of myself driving a wonderful bus where I get to choose the passengers and stop and get the ones to step off, you know, that are not benefiting.
I have great news for you. And this applies to everything in your world and in your life. The more you heal who and how you are now, the more that integrates and heals everything. All the other aspects of you. So this is why we've talked oftentimes about learning about past lives. It can be very interesting. It can be very enlightening. It can be very healing on many levels. But you don't need to do that in order to heal this life. And you don't need to be in charge of healing those other lives. Because as you heal and love and be who you are here now, that touches all parts of you and all lifetimes of you and all other people who are attached or connected to those lifetimes. It makes it simple, doesn't it? If you consider that you don't have to do all the individual work or be concerned with all the other individual lessons. You deal only with who you are, how you are now. And that's in faith, but it also is in life experience, which teaches you that as you become more and more comfortable with who you are, the kinds of people who come around you and close to you are more in alignment with that most of the time. And then if they're not, then you get shifted less and they get shifted either to shift into your way of being and your light, or they move on without being asked to get put off the bus. You know what I mean? So that is a natural thing that was witnessed in your life constantly. The more you grow, the more that starts to radiate into every part of your being and all of creation. We have said so many times, all of the masters who have spoken with our beloved friends here, and this is thing. As you grow, we grow. As you expand, we expand. So we celebrate all of it. It's not that we are shallow and need to be healed. We are growing and becoming more whole as we unify. Trust this. It's already occurring. So yes, there's 1,000 bus drivers who are parts of you, and all of you are co-creating a wholeness and a oneness that is just grand indeed. Grand indeed. Yes, brother. Yes. You have always the power to change the color of your bus, the size of your bus, the nature of your bus. That's just a game. It's just a metaphor. When you're consciously wanting to lead your life, then at least put one hand on the wheel consciously and know that you're co-creating and co-steering with all the other divine parts of you in this world and in the beyond worlds of realms of life. And I hear you say, I am.
I am.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, now we're going to lead one more little chant because it's fun. I am, I am, I am.
I am. I am.
I am.
I am.
I am.
Again, I am, I am, I am.
I am. I am. I am.
I am. I am.
One more time. I am, I am, I am.
I
I
am.
am. I am.
I
I am.
am. I am.
Thank you. Now let's put 12 of those together. I am, I am, I am.
I am.
I am, I
I
am, I am.
I am.
I am. I am. I am.
I am.
Lucy, all that you are is that. I am that I am. That I am what I am. That has bearing in truth. Now I'm not who I am. That has bearing in truth. I am that I am carries all of it. So, who are you to say that when only the great I am can say it? Well, you are. That's it. Thou art. I love to say. Beloved, thou art. With love, we make this decree with you. And we decree that from this breath and into any breath that you so consciously choose to be in alignment with, you draw into and through you the inspiration, the knowledge, the wisdom of all divine light, of all aspects and all realms of love. And as you breathe that and release, you are free to continually choose the proclamation of that. And we decree with you that in every aspect, in every form, and in every realm, you exist in love as love. Love not being the romantic pulse of poetry. Love being that which has inspired poetry. That which has inspired the very breath you breathe. Love, I am. Love, thou art. I decree this. And so it is.
So it is.
Well, I'd like to see a drawing from everybody this next week for the bus and who's on it. I was your kindergarten teacher. That's one of my assignments. So, draw your bus. Put yourself in the driver's seat in any other seat that you choose to be. You can put vague images or vague faces or not know who all the other passengers are. You get to play at that and just play with the concept of realizing the power you have to steer your life in every breath, in every direction through this light of love. . Freedom, I am. Peace, I am.
I am.
Truth, I am.
I am.
All, I am.
Oh, yeah.
Violet flame and form. Violet flame embrace me. Violet flame consume me. Violet flame, I surrender all that is illusion. Violet flame, I welcome all that is of essence. Violet flame, I am grateful. Transmute, transmute, transmute. All dross be now the fuel for the mighty I am. Golden light run through me. Golden light run through me. Golden light run through me. As I am, so it is. Namaste.
Let's stay.
Thank you for gifting me with this wonderful journey. There's been a theme of some of my journeys this recent couple of weeks, I think, re-dancing. And I appreciate it on so many levels because I've had some physical disability that kind of seems to keep me from getting up and moving like I want to move. And like I remember myself moving, so these are helping me to be aligning that and ready for some new expressions of all that. So, so the dancing today was something very new that I had not physically done, much more than one or two small moves of. And that is more of like the flamenco style dancing. I was just all over the place and very sensual and it was just really grand. And I didn't, there was nobody there that I could see, but I was sort of in this place where I wasn't using veils per se, but somehow they were like curtains and drapery. It was very thin, shimmery veils of things, and I was dancing with them, dancing with the veils in and out. And so thank you. It was a grand experience, and I'm continuing to find healing whenever they got me dancing. Last time it was tap dancing, which was fun. Until I moved into uptown funk and all my jiggly ways. I appreciate everyone's. So you're all here. I thank you for staying. Was it all right? Here's my question I like to ask, because what did I miss?
I'll catch you up on all that.
I'll learn that I've never really missed any of it. Somehow it's still all in my consciousness and available to me, and I can listen back to most of these recordings. But sometimes when I see everybody's smiley face, I feel a little left out. It still happens.
So Dawn, I might just give a reminder that this was the first of 3 planned classes, and the next one is June 24th, which is approximately a month from now, and that features Ascended Master Lord Lanto. And he's been a beautiful presence over many, many years with us and is very aligned with Master Ten Singh, very similar energy. So I think you'll enjoy that. It's about partnerships, casual, romantic, business, and more. So we can all use some insights on stuff like that. And the third one that's planned is coming up with Master Kuan Yin in July 29th, using the opalescent heart frequencies. And she's shared some of that energy in the past, and the energies are just mind blowing. I hate to use such a kind of a trite phrase for that, but it's just, I don't know how to say it. It's something that's so big and expansive. So it's extremely empowering to experience that, especially with her. So some of you have signed up for those. Some of you may decide to like to join us. You're always welcome.
Thank you for saying that, Dan. I had that thought to be ready to remind people of that.
And we'll send over the notice again, just as reminders.
Mhm. Good. So here we have cross country again. I love that idea. That's the one thing that's nice about sharing like this, is that when I would do my local events, it's great. And I had great groups of individuals I got to know, but this way I get to reconnect with or find new friends all across the country. Some cases I've had these Zooms with people from Italy and France and other, around the globe. So it's fun that this technology presents more of opportunity for everybody to do together. If you have questions that come up as you regroup the energies of what's given today, Saint Germain is cueing me to remind you, jot down those questions. If you send them to him via email to me, probably, I think makes more sense. He will combine all that and we will record something and send that out as like a follow-up to people. As any questions and follow-up answers to that. That's kind of new. I don't know that he's ever offered that before in that kind of way. Unless you want to go dive deep personally, you're welcome to always have that personal conversation. But I think what he's presenting is the possibility that as people are going deeper into what he was sharing, new ideas, new thoughts, new questions, new things will emerge, and that would be something to reconnect everybody with. Thank you for coming today.
Thank
for
you.
staying.
Thank you, Dawn.
Lovely to see you all. Carrie, soon.
Yes.
Irene, soon. Everyone, soon, whatever that means, soon. We used to hear that from Spirit all the time back in the day. When they say, well, when is such and such going to happen? They say, oh, soon, beloved master. And people will say, well, they began to say that soon is noose spelled backwards. Because their version of soon never seemed to line up with what we humanly think is what we want, right? So, but I mean it soon, so relative. Thank you, my friends. We'll see you another time.
Thank you.
As well.
Thank
God
you.
bless.
Thank you. God bless you.
Thank you.